Alex had always felt like his life on the distant colony planet was everything he had ever wanted. It's a peaceful life with his beautiful wife. Lyra? She was everything he could have asked, intelligent, kind, and always patient with him. As a human soldier living on an alien world, he felt lucky to have someone like her by his side. Lyra was from the Valric species, a race of beings known for their advanced intelligence in mysterious ways. Alex had known about her alien heritage before they got married, but it was never a problem for him. To him, Lyra wasn't just an alien, she was his partner. She had been assigned as a diplomat for the human-alien relations, helping negotiate peaceful solutions between various alien races and humans. That was part of why she was so highly regarded in the colony. Her grace, wisdom, and calm nature. But there was always something about Lyra that seemed slightly off to Alex. He couldn't put his finger on it, but he felt like there was a part of her that remained hidden, a side of her that she wouldn't fully share with him. They had been married for 5 years, and during that time, they had shared many moments together. Yet, there were times when Lyra would disappear for hours, retreating into her private space, sometimes saying that she needed time to meditate or that she was attending a diplomatic meeting. Alex never thought much about it at first, but after so many years, the unanswered questions began to pile up. That afternoon, Alex returned early from a mission. It was meant to be a quiet day, just him and Lyra at home. He'd been away for weeks, and he was looking forward to relaxing, sharing a meal, and catching up. As he opened the door, the house was unusually quiet. His heart skipped a beat, wondering where Lyra had gone. But then, as he entered their shared living room, he stopped dead in his tracks. There, sitting across from Lyra, was another woman. She looked exactly like her, same soft golden skin, same bright green eyes, and the same delicate features. Alex's mind raced as he tried to make sense of the situation. He knew he had to be seeing things. There was no way there could be 2 Lyras. Was this a twin? He had never heard her mention anything about a sister. And yet here she was, sitting calmly, almost as if she had been waiting for him. Lyra smiled warmly at him as he stood frozen by the doorway. "Alex, this is Lyra," she said softly. "My twin sister." Alex felt his world tilt as his mind tried to catch up. "Twin sister?" he repeated, his voice shaking. Lyra stood up and offered a polite handshake, though there was a strange calm in her eyes that seemed too familiar. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you, Alex," she said, her voice like Lyra's, but colder, more distant. "I'm sorry we kept this from you for so long." Alex blinked, unsure whether he was dreaming. "Kept what from me?" he asked, his heart pounding in his chest. This couldn't be real. He had no idea what was happening, and the more his mind raced, the more confused he became. Lyra stood up next to Lyra and gently placed her hand on Alex's shoulder. Sensing his discomfort, "Alex, I know this is a lot to take in. I should have told you sooner. Lyra and I share something far more than just being sisters. We are connected in ways I can't explain easily." Alex could barely breathe as his mind grappled with the overwhelming new information. He could feel his world crumbling around him. "What do you mean connected? How's this possible?" Lyra smiled softly, sitting back down. "See, Alex, the Valric species is unique. We are not simply 2 separate people. We are one consciousness divided into 2 bodies. Everything we experience, we share. Our thoughts, our memories, our feelings, everything. We are one, even though we appear to be 2. Alex's eyes darted between the 2 women. He was trying to make sense of the situation, but it was all too much. He had married Lyra without fully understanding her species, and now he was being told that everything he knew about their relationship might not be what he thought. "We've always shared everything," Lyra continued, her voice quiet but firm. "Even when we were young, we were always aware of each other's feelings and thoughts. No one can ever truly separate us, not even time or distance. It's the way our species exists. And I never meant to hide this from you, Alex, but I feared how you would react." Alex felt his stomach churn. His whole life with Lyra suddenly felt like a lie. He had never asked her to explain these things. He had never questioned why she acted the way she did, always seeming to be just a little bit different from other humans. But now, standing before him, was the truth he had never expected. "I don't know what to say," Alex murmured, still in shock. I thought I was the only one. Thought it was just you and me." Lyra gently reached out, her hand touching his arm. "Alex, it was always just us. You and me. Even with Lyra here, our bond remains unchanged. But now, you need to understand that this is who I am. This is who we both are. I don't expect you to accept everything immediately, but I want you to know that nothing has changed about how I feel for you." Alex struggled to process the information. His mind kept returning to Lyra, sitting so calmly beside them, her presence feeling so normal. She was, in many ways, exactly like Lyra, and yet Alex didn't know her. He had never known about her, and suddenly, the life he thought he knew seemed to be spinning out of control. "I need some time," Alex said finally, his voice tight. "I need to think." Lyra nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "I know this is difficult. You can talk when you're ready. Take all the time you need." Alex slowly turned and walked out of the room, his heart heavy. He felt like he was suffocating under the weight of this new reality. Everything about his life had just been turned upside down, and he didn't know how to feel or what to do next as he stepped outside into the cool night air. Alex could only think of one thing: the love he had for Lyra. Was it real? Or had he been living in a world of illusion, unaware of the deep bond that connected her to another? He knew he would have to face these questions, but for now, he just needed to breathe. Alex spent the next few days in a haze. Couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. The shock of discovering that his wife, Lyra, had a twin sister, Lyra, and that they shared more than just memories, everything about their lives. Their experiences, their emotions, was too much to process. It felt like his entire world had been turned upside down. He tried to keep his distance, retreating to his study and avoiding Lyra whenever she came near. It wasn't that he didn't love her. He did. But how could he ever understand what it meant to love someone who wasn't really ... just one person? How could he compete with a bond so deep that it went beyond anything he could imagine? One evening, after a particularly long and quiet day, Lyra knocked gently on his door. "Alex," she called softly, "can we talk?" Alex hesitated for a moment, unsure if he was ready. But he knew he couldn't keep avoiding her forever. "Come in," he said, his voice quieter than he intended. Lyra stepped inside, her eyes filled with a mix of concern and sadness. She closed the door behind her and stood in the center of the room, unsure of what to say. For the first time since they had met, Alex saw her vulnerability. Lyra had always been strong, calm, and composed, but now she seemed uncertain, as if the foundation of their relationship was crumbling beneath her. "I know you're still processing everything," she began. "And I understand that. This is a lot to take in." Alex nodded but didn't say anything. His heart felt heavy, and he wasn't sure if he could put his thoughts into words. Lyra continued, "I never meant to hide this from you, Alex. But there are things about my people, about the Valrics, that we don't share with others. I never wanted to lie to you, but I also didn't want to scare you off. Not when I was falling in love with you." Alex looked at her, his mind racing. "But why didn't you tell me? We've been married for 5 years, Lyra. You could have told me about Lyra, about your bond. We could have figured this out together." "I didn't know how," Lyra said quietly, her voice filled with regret. "It's hard to explain something that has been a part of me my entire life. I thought I could protect you from it. But now I see that I've only made things worse. You deserve the truth, Alex." Alex took a deep breath. "But why didn't you tell me about Lyra?" His voice cracked a little. "It's like she's part of you. And I don't know if I can handle that." Lyra lowered her head. "I know. I've been living in 2 worlds for so long, trying to keep everything balanced. The bond I share with Lyra, it's not something I can explain easily. It's not like anything humans experience. We are 2 halves of the same being. We share everything: our thoughts, our feelings, even our dreams." Alex ran a hand through his hair, his mind racing with questions. But how does that work? I mean, how can I be part of that? Where do I fit into this? Lyra's eyes met his. You don't have to understand everything, but you are a part of my life, Alex. You are a part of me, even if it's not the same as how Lyra and I are connected. But how can I be enough when there's always going to be this ... this connection between you two? Alex's voice trembled as he spoke. How can you ever really be mine if she's always there? Lyra's face softened, and she stepped closer to him. I love you, Alex. I've never stopped loving you, but Lyra is a part of me. I can't change that. The bond we share, it's not something I want to lose. But that doesn't mean there's no place for you. There's always been a place for you, and there always will be. Alex felt his heart tug at her words. He wanted to believe her. He wanted to believe that he could have a place in her life, that his love for her could be enough. But the truth was he felt like an outsider. No matter how much he loved her, there was always going to be Lyra. He would never be able to fully understand the depth of their bond. I don't know if I can do this, Lyra, Alex whispered, his voice filled with uncertainty. I don't know if I can share you like that. Lyra's eyes glistened with unshed tears, but she nodded. I understand, but I want you to know that this isn't just about me. This is about us. I want to make this work, Alex. I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose the life we've built together. Alex looked at her, his heart torn. He could see the sincerity in her eyes, and for a moment, he wanted to believe that they could make it work. But the questions kept swirling in his mind. What did it mean to love her, knowing that she would always be connected to someone else? How could he be enough for her when she was never truly alone? Lyra seemed to sense his inner struggle. No, this isn't easy, she said softly. But I need you to understand that Lyra and I aren't the same person. We are connected, yes, but we are still individuals. You don't have to compete with her. You don't have to fight for my love. Alex looked away, trying to calm the storm of thoughts in his mind. I don't know, Lyra. This is a lot to take in. Lyra placed her hand gently on his cheek. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere, and neither is Lyra. But I want you to know, no matter what, I love you, and I always will. Alex closed his eyes, his heart aching with uncertainty. He wanted to believe her. He wanted to find a way to make this work. But deep down, he knew it wasn't going to be easy. There were still so many questions, so many doubts, and as much as he loved Lyra, he wasn't sure if he could share her with someone else, even if that someone else was a part of her. I need time, he said quietly, his voice heavy. I need to figure out what I want. Lyra nodded, understanding. She kissed him gently on the forehead. I'll be here when you're ready, Alex. And with that, she left him alone with his thoughts, the weight of their complex relationship settling heavily on his shoulders. As much as he loved Lyra, he couldn't shake the feeling that the truth, however complicated it was, would change everything. Days passed since Alex had learned the truth about Lyra and Lyra. He spent most of his time alone, trying to make sense of everything that had happened. The quiet evenings, once peaceful and familiar, now felt empty. His mind was constantly racing, filled with thoughts of Lyra, and the strange connection they shared. He couldn't escape it, no matter how hard he tried. Every time he saw Lyra, the questions returned. How could she love him when she shared everything with her twin? Was he just a part of the life she built to fit into the human world, or was he truly someone she cared about? He didn't know how to answer these questions, and it hurt to admit that he might never truly understand. One evening, as Alex sat on the balcony of their home, watching the twin moons rise over the distant horizon, Lyra came outside and stood next to him. She didn't say anything at first, just watched the sky with him. They had always shared these quiet moments, but now it felt different. I miss this, Lyra said softly, her voice carrying the weight of 1,000 unspoken words. I miss us, Alex, before everything changed. Alex didn't look at her, afraid that if he did, he might say something he would regret. I miss it too, he whispered. Lyra reached out, her hand brushing against his. He flinched slightly, but didn't pull away. She had always been gentle, always knowing when to give him space, when to hold him close. But now, It felt like every touch was a reminder of the confusion he was feeling inside. "I know you're struggling with this," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I don't blame you. But I need you to understand that Lyra and I are ... We're not just two people with a shared connection. We're something more. We are two parts of a whole. No matter how hard I try, I can't separate us." Alex turned to face her, his eyes filled with uncertainty. "But why didn't you tell me this before? Why keep it a secret? We were supposed to be partners, Lyra. I thought we were building something real." Lyra's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "We were building something real. I swear to you, Alex. But I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't want you to think you were just part of a plan. I love you. Lyra. She's a part of me. And I've never known how to explain that to someone who isn't Valrix." Alex sighed, his heart heavy. "I don't understand, Lyra. You've been living in two worlds for so long. How can I fit into that? How can I be enough for you when she's always there?" Lyra took a step closer, her voice pleading. "You don't have to compete with her, Alex. You don't have to fight for my love. Lyra and I are different. We may share everything, but I chose you. I married you. I gave you my heart." Alex closed his eyes, trying to find the right words. "I want to believe that, Lyra, but it's hard. It feels like no matter how much I love you, I'll never be the only one. That's not something I know how to accept." Lyra's hand rested on his shoulder. "I understand. I really do. But this bond I have with Lyra is not something I can change. It's not something I can even explain in a way that makes sense to you. I wish I could, Alex, but I can't." A long silence passed between them. Alex wanted to say something, anything to ease the pain that seemed to surround them, but the words wouldn't come. He wanted to ask more questions, but deep down he feared that even if he got the answers, they wouldn't be enough to fix the growing distance between them. Finally, Alex spoke, his voice soft and broken. "I don't know if I can do this anymore, Lyra. I don't know if I can share you like this. I want to be your one and only, but I don't know how to be okay with this." Lyra's expression softened with understanding, but there was a deep sadness in her eyes. "I never wanted to ask you to share me, Alex. I never wanted to make you feel like you weren't enough. But this is who I am, and I can't hide it from you any longer. I wish I could give you more of me, but this is all I have." Alex felt his chest tighten as the weight of her words settled over him. It wasn't that he didn't love her. He did, more than he ever thought possible. But the idea of sharing that love with someone else, even if it was her twin, was something he couldn't come to terms with. Lyra stepped back, her hands trembling as she wiped away a tear. "I don't want to lose you, Alex, but I need you to decide. I can't keep living like this, pretending everything is fine when it's not." Alex took a deep breath, trying to steady his emotions. He couldn't make sense of everything he was feeling, but he knew one thing for sure. He didn't want to lose Lyra. Yet, he wasn't sure how to move forward. "I need time," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Lyra nodded. "Heart, take all the time you need. I'll be here, whenever you're ready." With that, she turned and left him alone on the balcony, the distant stars shining down on him like cold, indifferent witnesses to his pain. Alex stood there for a long time, lost in his thoughts. The life he had built with Lyra was no longer as simple as it had been before. The questions he had about their relationship were no longer things he could ignore. And the love he had for her, no matter how deep, was now complicated by a bond he didn't fully understand. As the night stretched on, Alex knew he would have to make a choice. But for now, he wasn't ready to make it. He needed more time. Time to figure out what he truly wanted. Time to understand the truth behind Lyra's connection to Lyra. And most of all, it's time to understand what it meant to love someone who wasn't just theirs to love. After weeks of confusion, Alex found himself slipping back into a routine. It wasn't easy, but slowly, he began to accept the complexity of his relationship with Lyra. He didn't fully understand the bond she shared with Lyra, but he was willing to try. He couldn't deny that his love for her was real, and that feeling gave him the strength to push through the uncertainty. However, as they tried to rebuild their lives, a new threat loomed on the horizon. one that would test not only Alex's trust in Lyra, but also their ability to navigate a galaxy full of dangers. It began with a visit from a high-ranking officer from the Valrix Council. The officer's name was Terran, and she carried with her a serious expression. Unlike any Alex had seen from the Valrix before, she was tall and wore the traditional Valrix armor, which shimmered under the light. Approach, and when she entered the room, the atmosphere immediately grew tense. Terran Lyra greeted, standing from her seat. Alex remained seated, his gaze fixed on the officer. "What brings you here?" Terran's eyes shifted briefly to Alex before returning to Lyra. "It's about Lyra," she said, her voice low. "We've received information that the Scyther Empire has taken an interest in the twins. They want to use your bond as a weapon, Lyra, and they won't stop until they have it." Alex felt a chill run down his spine. The Scyther Empire was known for their ruthlessness, a race of aliens who had been expanding their territory for centuries, conquering worlds and civilizations. They had long been enemies of the Valrix, and it was no secret that they would stop at nothing to gain an advantage. "What? Do you mean use our bond?" Lyra asked, her voice steady but filled with concern. Terran's expression grew darker. "The Scyther Empire believes they can combine your bond, Lyra, with their own technology. They think that if they can merge minds the way you and Lyra do, they'll have the ability to control entire fleets with just their thoughts. They want to manipulate the Valrix twins' connection and use it as a weapon. And they're willing to go to extreme lengths to do it." Alex clenched his fists, his stomach tightening at the thought of Lyra and Lyra being used in such a way. He looked at Lyra, who seemed just as shaken by the news. This wasn't just about their relationship anymore. This was about survival. "They can't do this," Alex said, his voice harsh. "You can't let them get away with it." Lyra's eyes met his, and for the first time in days, Alex saw a spark of determination. "We won't," she said firmly. "We'll fight back. We have to." Terran nodded. "That's why I'm here. We need to prepare. The Scyther Empire won't waste any time. They'll come for you both soon. We need to make sure you're ready for whatever they throw at us." Alex looked at Lyra, his heart pounding. He'd always considered himself a soldier, trained to fight and protect. But this was different. This wasn't just a mission or a battle. This was personal. This was about the woman he loved and the woman who had been hidden from him for so long. He couldn't let anyone take them away from him. "What do you need us to do?" Alex asked, his voice steady now, filled with the same resolve that he had once felt on the battlefield. Tane didn't hesitate. "We need to move fast. I'm sending you both to a secure location, one where the Scyther can't reach you. You'll be safe there for a while, but I need you to be prepared. Once the Scyther know about your connection, they'll stop at nothing to capture you." Lyra stood up, her mind already working through the details. "How long do we have?" Terran's eyes flicked to the doorway, her expression grim. "Not long. We need to leave immediately." Alex's heart raced as he stood up, feeling the weight of the situation settle over him. He had never imagined he would find himself in the middle of something so dangerous, so personal. His world had already been shaken by the truth about Lyra and Lyra, and now, just when he thought things might start to make sense, another threat appeared. "I'll make preparations," Alex said quickly, turning to grab his gear. He had to focus. There was no room for hesitation now. They didn't have time to question their future or their feelings. They had to survive. Lyra's hand caught his arm before he could leave the room. "Alex," she said softly, her eyes filled with both fear and determination. "Are you ready for this?" Alex met her gaze, feeling a rush of love for her. Love he didn't fully understand, but was ready to fight for. "I'm with you, Lyra. We'll face this together." Stepped forward, her voice cutting through the moment. "We don't have much time. The Scyther will be here soon. We need to move fast." Alex nodded, his resolve hardening. "Let's go then." As they left their home, Alex couldn't help but feel the weight of the situation press down on him. They were leaving everything behind, everything that had once been their normal life. He wasn't sure what lay ahead, but he knew one thing for certain. He couldn't let the Scyther Empire tear his world apart. Not now, not ever. Lyra. And Alex would stand together no matter what. The next few hours were a blur. Alex, Lyra, and Lyra had packed only the essentials, as Terran's warning echoed in their minds. They couldn't afford to waste time. Every minute they spent waiting was another minute the Scyther Empire could use to get closer. They didn't know how fast the enemy was moving, but they knew it would be fast. Tarn had arranged for them to travel to a hidden Valrix outpost, a place that even the Scyther Empire couldn't easily find. It was deep within a remote section of the galaxy, far from the reach of most known civilizations. They had to rely on their ship's advanced stealth systems to stay off the radar and avoid detection. The ship was quiet, its sleek, dark design blending into the starry expanse around them. Alex stood by one of the windows, looking out at the endless void of space. The stars felt distant, now too distant. They were no longer symbols of hope. Instead, they felt cold and unwelcoming, as if the universe itself was watching their every move. Lyra and Lyra were in the control room, working together to guide the ship through the treacherous path ahead. The bond they shared made them a formidable team. As they communicated silently, their minds intertwined in ways Alex could never fully understand. He watched them, a mixture of admiration and confusion filling him. For the first time, he felt like an outsider in his own relationship. There was no denying the connection between the two sisters. It was something beyond love, beyond family. It was a bond that Alex could never truly experience. And yet here he was, fighting alongside them. Lyra called softly, pulling him from his thoughts. We're almost at the outpost. It's time to make our final preparations. He nodded, pushing aside his lingering doubts. Now was not the time for uncertainty. They had to survive. They had to fight. As they arrived at the outpost, Alex could feel the weight of their situation bearing down on him. The outpost was a small, heavily fortified station located on the edge of a dying star system. Its purpose had always been one of secrecy and protection. And now it would serve as their last hope against the Scyther Empire's growing threat. The moment they landed, Terran greeted them, her stern face showing no signs of relief despite the temporary safety they had found. We've set up the defenses, she said, her voice low. But we don't have much time. The Scyther are closing in, and once they realize where we are, they'll stop at nothing to take you both. Alex's mind raced. They didn't have the luxury of waiting for help. The Valrix had their advanced technology, but the Scythar had numbers and resources that could overwhelm them. They needed to act fast, and Alex knew that the fight for their survival was just beginning. Do we have a plan? Alex asked, his voice steady despite the fear that gripped his chest. Terran nodded. We do. The outpost's main defense system is a series of cloaked weapons designed to protect this area from detection. But the Scyther will be coming from all directions, and we can't let them get close. Lyra and Lyra stood by, listening intently. Lyra looked at Alex, her expression firm. We'll fight together. We've never faced an enemy like this, but we can't let them take us. Alex looked at the two sisters, realizing how much strength they shared. In that moment, he wasn't just fighting for himself, he was fighting for them, for their future. And no matter how complicated things had been between them, he knew he couldn't walk away now. I'm with you, Alex said, his voice resolute. Let's make sure they don't take anything from us. The battle began shortly after. Scythar Empire's fleet appeared on the edge of the system, their ships glowing bright against the darkness of space. Their numbers were overwhelming, but Terran had prepared them well. The outpost's cloaked weapons activated, sending waves of fire toward the incoming ships. The explosions lit up the blackness, but the Scyther didn't falter. They were relentless, advancing toward their target with the precision of a well-trained army. Inside the control room, Lyra and Lyra worked in perfect harmony, their minds connected, moving as one. Alex stood by their side, watching them operate, with a calm efficiency that amazed him. Even though he didn't fully understand their connection, he could see how powerful it was. Together, they made an unstoppable team. Alex fought by their side, manning the ship's weapons systems and coordinating the defense efforts. His training as a soldier had prepared him for battles, but nothing could have prepared him for the complexity of this war. He wasn't just fighting an enemy. He was fighting to protect the woman he loved and the woman who was an inseparable part of her. As the battle raged on, Alex could feel the strain on both Lyra and Lyra. The energy it took to maintain their connection was immense. They weren't just fighting for their lives, they were fighting to keep their bond intact. And every time they merged their minds to launch a strike, Alex saw the toll it took on them. Their physical forms seemed to shimmer as if the strain of their mental link was too much to bear. Lyra, Alex shouted as a blast rocked the ship, sending vibrations through the walls. We need to fall back. We can't keep this up much longer. Lyra's voice came through the comms, strong but filled with exhaustion. We won't back down. We've come too far. Lyra's voice echoed with the same determination. This is our fight, Alex. We won't let them win. Just when Alex thought they couldn't hold on much longer, Taryn's voice came through the comms. The Scyther have deployed a boarding team. They'll be here within minutes. Alex's heart skipped a beat. We have to stop them before they get inside. Lyra and Lyra shared a look, their eyes filled with understanding. Together, they focused their energy on the ship's systems, amplifying their mental link. The outpost's weapons fired again, but this time with a force that Alex could feel through the very walls of the ship. The Scyther ships were pushed back, but the battle was far from over. We can do this, Alex said, more to himself than anyone else. But as the battle raged on, Alex realized that the fight wasn't just about survival, it was about proving that no matter how complex their relationship was, they would fight for each other until the end. The battle had lasted hours, but it felt like days. The Scyther Empire's fleet was relentless, but the Valric's outpost had proven to be a worthy opponent. The weapon systems that Terran had activated had held them off, buying enough time for Alex, Lyra, and Lyra to regroup and prepare for the final push. But as the Scyther continued to strike with all their might, it became clear that this was far from over. Alex stood in the command center of the outpost, sweat trickling down his forehead as he wiped his brow with the back of his hand. Pounded in his chest, each beat a reminder of the stakes they were facing. Every explosion outside the walls of the station felt like a step closer to losing everything. Lyra and Lyra sat side by side, their hands placed gently on the console. In front of them, their minds were linked, working in unison, each move calculated with perfect precision. Alex had never seen them so in sync, their bond as strong as ever. I've seen how hard the mental strain was on them, but neither of them showed weakness. They were driven by one goal: survival. We can't hold them off much longer, Taryn said, her voice tense as she surveyed the data on the screens. The Scyther are relentless. We need to strike back, or we risk losing everything. Lex turned to face her, his jaw tight with determination.
Right.
We can't let them win. We'll fight until the end. Lyra stood up slowly, her eyes meeting Alex's. She reached for his hand, squeezing it tightly. We've already lost too much to give up now. We need to finish this. For us, for everyone. Lyra, who had been silently monitoring the battle, nodded. We've come this far. We're not backing down. With a shared nod, Alex, Lyra, and Lyra prepared for the final move. The three of them would have to combine their strengths in ways they never had before. The Valric's outpost's defenses were strong, but they needed one final push to break the Scyther's hold. They were going to give it everything they had. As the Scyther fleet closed in, Alex took his place at the control panel, while Lyra and Lyra worked together to power up the final defense system. The air in the room felt thick with tension as the countdown began. Get ready, Taryn said, her voice filled with urgency. This is it. The countdown reached 0, and a bright beam of energy erupted from the outpost. Cutting through the darkness of space and striking the heart of the Scyther fleet, the explosion was deafening, a brilliant flash of light that momentarily blinded everyone inside the station. The Scyther ships were caught off guard, their shields unable to withstand the power of the blast. But they quickly regrouped, launching another wave of attacks. Alex, Lyra, and Lyra worked furiously, pushing their minds to their limits. They had to outmaneuver the Sithers' tactics, predicting their moves before they could make them. It was a mental battle as much as it was a physical one. Each wave of fire from the Sither brought them closer to victory, but also to exhaustion. "We can do this," Alex muttered under his breath, focusing on the controls. He could feel the weight of the battle pressing down on him, but his resolve was stronger than ever. He wouldn't let them lose, not after everything they had fought. "4. Lyra's voice broke through his thoughts, steady and strong. "Alex, we need your help. We can't do this without you." He glanced over at her, seeing the strain on her face. It was clear that their connection was beginning to take its toll. The strain was too much for one person to bear alone, but together they could do it. Alex had always been a fighter, but now he was fighting not just for his own life, but for theirs as well. With a deep breath, Alex joined Lyra and Lyra, working alongside them in perfect synchronization. Their minds linked together, and they launched one final, massive strike at the heart of the Sither fleet. The blast sent shockwaves through space, shaking the very foundation of the battle. The Sither ships were decimated, their fleet crumbling. In the wake of the attack, for a moment the station fell silent. Alex, Lyra, and Lyra stood side by side, their breathing heavy but steady. The battle was over. They had won. Alex turned to Lyra, his heart swelling with pride and relief. "We did it." Lyra smiled, her exhaustion mirrored in her eyes. "We did." Lyra, still standing by their side, nodded. Together. For the first time in weeks, Alex allowed himself to relax, knowing that they had faced the impossible and come out victorious. It had been a fight for survival, for the future, and for their love. The bond between Lyra and Lyra, though complicated, had made them stronger, and Alex had learned that love, in all its forms, was worth fighting for. As the outposts, defenses powered down and the dust settled, Taryn approached, her face filled with a rare expression of relief. "I didn't think we'd make it," she said, "but you three. You did it. You saved us." Alex shook his head, a smile forming on his lips. "We saved each other." Lyra took Alex's hand in hers, squeezing it gently. "We've been through so much. But this battle was just the beginning." Lyra stepped forward, her voice firm. "The galaxy will never be the same after this. But as long as we stand together, we'll be ready for whatever comes next." Alex looked at the two women, his heart swelling with pride. He didn't fully understand the depth of their bond, but he knew one thing for sure: he would fight for them, no matter what. And as they stood together, facing an uncertain future, Alex realized that this was where he was meant to be. With Lyra, with Lyra, together. No more questions, no more doubts. Just love, strength, and the promise of a future they would build side by side.